Welcome to the CJ Murray Podcast, an exploration of music and growth on an intellectual, philosophical, and emotional basis. Today's guest is Michael Reynolds, a live sound engineer who handles multi-million-dollar equipment on a daily basis, delivering sound to thousands of people. We discuss the differences between his job in live sound and my job in studio recording, and I hope you walk away with a deeper understanding of the audio world as a whole. Thank you guys for listening, and now enjoy this conversation with Michael Reynolds. All right, man. Walk me through it. How did you get into audio?
My 8th grade year, I guess. I went to church early because my mom would go to choir practice.
Cool.
And our IT guy was up there, and I say IT because in a smallish Baptist church, IT, sound, Wi-Fi, anything with a power button is the same thing, right?
Same guy.
And I get up to the sound booth where sound is, and live stream control and screens are all in that one spot, and I see the soundboard.
Right.
Millions of buttons, hundreds of faders, right? And it was lit up like a Christmas tree.
And you said it was like an Allen and Heath?
Yes.
Okay.
No, PreSonus.
PreSonus. Cool.
Yeah. And immediately thought, that's cool, I'm learning it. And so I asked him right there, can you start teaching me that? And so he started teaching me little by little, and I became like a backup guy for anything up there. So,
I love that.
Yeah.
Man. So then you said that was the 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Go through high school.
Through high school, started learning more and more, became pretty reliable.
Yeah.
Running it for the church. Yeah. And then I was about to go to college.
Yeah.
And I wanted to work at college for the college, right?
Right.
So I called ahead and I said, hey, I do sound and lights and stuff at my church.
Yeah.
Can I do that there? And so they put me in the lights department. And I loved the job. And then transitioning into my sophomore year, I told my supervisor, I love my job, but can I get some experience in sound as well? And it just so happened, I'm going to say that like with quotes around, that there are 2 students in that position. One graduated, one left, so the door was wide open.
Yeah.
And so from then on, I became sound. When I graduated, or right before I was going to graduate, I hadn't like made any plans for after graduation. And there was a staff guy there running sound, and he said that he was leaving. And I said,
Andrew Daugherty?
Andrew Daugherty, yeah. And so I asked him, like, who's taking your spot? And he said they have no idea. And so it was
I don't
really
think
cool.
I knew that detail.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
I know a guy.
Let
me in there. So I talked to the supervisor, got all the paperwork submitted. And thinking back on it now, it was really cool to see God just open up doors like perfectly timed for me.
Yeah. For context of anyone listening to this, when Andrew Daugherty left and Michael took his job, Andrew's job actually was split into Michael's job and my job.
Yeah.
So Andrew was responsible with live sound as well as studio recording. So Michael got the live and I got the studio recording. So what's it like handling pressure for live sound for thousands of people?
When you first start, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because you've got this really big piece of equipment in front of you.
Yeah.
With way too many buttons on it. And you've got at least 6,000 people like listening to whatever's coming through your equipment.
Yeah.
And everyone knows that if something messes up, it's your fault, even if it's not actually your fault, right?
Yeah.
So it's very like overwhelming, and then you start to get used to it. But you always want to keep that not fear, but focus.
I get what you're saying.
The vigilance, I guess, because as soon as you lose that and you make a mistake, then
Everyone knows you made a mistake.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And especially on systems that big, like mistakes are, everyone knows it. Not very forgiving.
Absolutely.
But it's really exciting. It's a really cool opportunity.
Yeah. And it's incredible how many speaking events take place, not just in the church services you handle, but events all over campus, and different ministries come in, and your hand's all over it.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's really you and then David Shepard, and between the two of you, you guys handle all the audio for events, right?
Yeah. And of course, Josh McGuffey handles DHA pretty well.
Gotcha. Right, of course.
So yeah, David and I handle anything in Crown Center and anything around campus out of the ordinary. Which a really cool perk with handling, especially Crown Center stuff, is you get to meet a lot of cool people.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of famous preachers, lots of Ken Ham.
That's right. I remember that.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, like these big names that you'd
And
think,
you hand the mic to all of them.
Yeah. But
I
Mike's
love
on
that.
administration and former administration and everything. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, the 50th.
yeah,
There was a lot of people that came in for that.
oh yeah, yeah. Even without the people, that was huge.
Oh, yes.
We had over 50 mics running. It was crazy, but it was a
massive.
lot of fun to be a part of.
It was massive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go back to the technical aspect.
Okay.
How satisfying is it to do complex audio things or know a mixing board and just be in the flow state, you know, with as much knowledge as you have now, doing it for some years?
When you don't have that knowledge and you're listening to something live, like maybe you are self-aware enough to think, I wish I could hear this just a little bit differently. Or, I wish I could hear that cello a little bit louder. When I'm running the soundboard, I'm the only one that has that power, actually.
And no one's consciously realizing that you have the power.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool opportunity. It's also got a lot of responsibility with it, because that means I have to be the pickiest person in the room, because I have to catch the problems. I have to make it perfect before anybody realizes it's not.
And another thing too is, I think you've told me before that when someone starts singing or there's a soloist, you have seconds to mess with the EQ on any last changes, because you can't be changing it midway through.
Right.
Whatever people hear off the bat, that's what they expect to hear the whole way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like one of the differences between recording sound and live sound. Yours has to be perfect.
Yeah.
You also get a lot of takes, as many as you need.
I'll record someone 20 times over again.
Yeah.
I'll make a smorgasbord
Yeah.
of all the takes, and then I'll have grouped EQs
Yeah.
in window configuration. So I have like 8 EQs open. I'm just nitpicking all the frequencies. Yeah.
I've got 2 takes usually, maybe 3.
Because
We get one rehearsal.
Yeah.
If it's for a Sunday morning, we'll get a second rehearsal. But with that being said, live is a lot more forgiving. So
yeah. Okay, so here's a question. With the board that you have and people singing or playing, how many presets do you guys have? Like, do you have presets for people where someone sings solos enough that you're like, oh, I'm going to have this preset for so-and-so?
We have... Our presets are more for preachers. But for singers, not really. I do have... when somebody sings who sings all the time, that has a special characteristic about their voice, and I always do the same EQ on them, or a characteristic
you
of
just
the
like
EQ.
intuitively know.
Yeah. I just know, like, oh, that singer's singing, I need to drop 3K just a little bit.
Like, they have a special nasal point. I know they do. I'm gonna drop. Yeah. Cool.
For bigger shows and more, I don't know, higher paid stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
They do. I'm sure.
So how about not the live pressure, but the work that goes into before a service, before a show? Like, let's say there's an event that's a little more complex. What's it like to
gala level or?
Yeah, why not gala level?
Okay.
Like, what's it like to rework routing, configure monitors? You're like changing everything. How does that process go in your brain?
You just look at what's needed and then what do you have? And then as you're setting monitors, placing mics and receivers, because we had to pull in receivers from all over campus to be able to get that many mics, you are remembering what you're doing, one, so you don't intentionally cause problems. Not intentionally cause problems, but like cause problems for yourself.
Yeah.
Also remembering how you're doing it for that one event, because chances are within a day or so, you've got to turn it around for regular operation.
True.
So yes, do your best, pull out all stops, but don't burn bridges to the point that you can't do it how you should be able to do it.
Like, think a couple steps ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Okay, so let's go a little more philosophical here.
Okay.
Let's take everything you said. How is what you do an expression of who you are?
This is one of those questions that'd be nice to know before we started recording. How is what I do an expression of who I am?
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is being detail-oriented, not halfway doing a job, but thinking through and making sure that you get all the details.
Easy example, I've seen your organization closet, your storage closet where you keep the mics cords.
Before or after I've organized it?
Well, see, that's what I'm saying here. Yeah, like, because I didn't see it before, but I've seen it after you've worked on it. And there's so much gear.
Yeah.
And everything has its exact location. So,
Yeah.
So, like, right before we started recording, you were telling me about something. You found out new information prior to a service.
Oh, yes.
And you went right to the closet.
Yes.
And you were able to know right away something wasn't there.
Because you're
organized.
Right.
Sorry. Anyways,
right.
Keep on going.
The thing that comes to my mind is our students run chapel 4 times a week. Same thing. Every day that we have chapel. The exact same thing. You check these monitors, you check these mics, you make sure the batteries are good, you get water for the preacher. Yeah. If there's any problems, you let us know.
Yeah.
Every day. And it can get monotonous. And when you start to get lazy, and I can say that because I've done it as a student, maybe even a staff, and don't check the details, you don't physically look and make sure that monitor's plugged in or listen to it, or you think, yeah, the pulpit's plugged in. It always is. I don't need to check it. That's the one time the pulpit's not plugged in.
The one time.
So to intentionally be detail-oriented like that, not being lazy.
Yeah.
If you're lazy, that will show in your work.
Here's a thought that'll knock down 2 birds with 1 stone. Because one of the purposes of this episode is we wanted to compare and contrast our jobs.
Yeah.
You're live sound, I'm studio sound. So I asked you, how is your job an expression of who you are? And it hit me when you started talking that the differences of our jobs are really who we are. Because you're way more spontaneous than me.
Yeah.
You're always reacting in real time.
Yeah.
Me, I mean, you said it yourself at one point, I will overthink things to a T. I'll just like piece something apart forever to no end to deconstruct thoughts and ideas and put it back together. That's my job.
You made your own wedding songs from scratch. Yes.
Oh my word. Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I find interesting. I will listen to the same thing on repeat for like months.
Yeah, to fix something that 99% of the people probably won't hear.
That's true.
But
Yeah, and it's so funny because sometimes when I'm editing, I'll figure out some new technique to, you name it. and I'll be really excited, and I'll bring someone in, and I'll be like, "Hey, check this out.
Yeah.
Here's with it on. Here's with it off.
Yeah.
Here's with it on. Here's with it off." And they're looking at me like, I mean, you said it. It's
Yeah.
I don't hear anything, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about like how spontaneous I am and how scheduled, I guess that's not the right word, but that's the one I'm thinking of.
regimen.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
When you ask me, "Hey, do you want to sacrifice 3 hours for friendship tomorrow?" I'm like, I planned friendship 3 days in advance.
Whereas I don't know, what's tomorrow?
Hey, we have a couple hours. You want a road trip?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Or fun thing, just when it comes to spontaneity. So like for me, if I'm gonna plan a first date, I'm like, okay, keep it simple, thinking through what we're gonna talk about, blah 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 blah. And you come back from your first date like, yeah, so we went on a helicopter ride. I'm like, you what? What? Bro, and you're like, no, man, we just saw it. We did it. Like, that's all there was to it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah.
Okay, true story. I get your side of it too, because the very first date that I went on, I made specially a Spotify playlist of the songs that I wanted to be played in order. So I get your side as well.
That's true.
So
that's true. I have no spontaneous stories for a first date. No. No, like the most I could say was I was in high school and there's like the Christian school version of prom.
Yeah.
And I was in homeroom and one day I just looked at Emily and I was like, Emily, you want to go? She's like, yeah, sure, I'll go. And so that's my spontaneity right there for you. Just off the cuff. Okay, so let's jump into the comparing. So your job, you're reacting real time. Mm-hmm. Me, I'm meticulously piecing things apart. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about, as we would maybe term it, delivering products to a client. Very broad, but like when you're doing audio for people and I'm doing audio for people, let's compare processes. Yeah. Because for me, when I'm piecing together a song over the course of days, weeks, months, it goes through a system of approvals because there's hands in the pot for good reasons. I feel like there's good reasons, but also there's a lot of preferences. And so I'll do the best that I can. I'll hand it down the chain. I like this. I don't like this. Goes back and forth for who knows how long. Yeah. And so on and so forth. For you, what's it like, sound to people?
Here's how it was explained to me.
Yeah. As
far as determining like what I put through my system and the sound that I don't create but I manipulate, right? I am a control freak with a boss. I do what I want. I do what I know is best.
Yeah.
But I always remember that I have a boss who can fire me, right?
Yeah.
So as far as like making decisions and like controlling what I can control, that's my mentality because everybody's correct is just a little bit different. My job is, and your job too, is preferential.
True. Very true.
To an extent, at least. As far as like the goal of what I want people to hear, my job in that area is to communicate a message, whether that's singing, whether that's preaching, whether that's a video, whatever, as clearly as possible with as little distraction as possible. Yeah. Especially like in a chapel or church setting. Yeah. Because you're dealing with people's hearts, you're dealing with God's word and the gospel, and like that's what bugs me sometimes is I'll hear like church people talk and act as if we have a buy to not have quality in church sound stuff. Yeah. Which when you think about it,
That's how the word of God's communicated.
That's the word of God. Yeah.
Yeah.
You are literally dealing with the word of God and
Yeah.
salvation and people's relationships with God.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing more important than that.
Yeah.
So should we just blow our money and get the most expensive stuff? Absolutely not. But it's important,
Absolutely.
you know, and there needs to be some weight attached
Yeah.
to communicating that
Yeah.
message.
Let's dive into a specific.
Yeah.
What's it like running sound for teen camp in the summer?
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Take the message of the gospel, put a lot of excitement into it.
Yeah, it's loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're dealing with having to compensate with people moving. Just you've got thousands of people, restless teenagers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just being there is loud.
Yeah.
And then when you get a really dynamic and active preacher who gets the crowd loud, well, now they still need to hear
Oh yeah.
over such a raised noise floor,
Oh my word.
right?
Yeah.
So that can give you a struggle of how do I get them loud enough? Sometimes that's a struggle, especially for like congregational singing or something for teen camp.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's really cool to be a part of.
Yeah.
And it puts like pressure on me, like I was saying about church stuff. Like I need to know my stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I don't know something and something goes wrong and I distract somebody else from hearing the gospel, that's on me. Right.
Yeah.
It's so how is running teen camp? It's very energetic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a raised noise floor is technically like the most different it is, I guess.
And an awesome thought behind that is just the body of Christ. And think of how many lives are changed through camp.
Yeah.
And when their life is changed, it's not one person that made that happen. It's not just the preacher. It's not just you. It's not just the counselors. I mean, the people that serve the kids food, the people that transport the kids. I mean, the counselors, the parents that decided to send the kids.
Yeah.
And it's awesome how the Holy Spirit just guides everybody, to that moment when a kid hears the gospel and their life is changed. And I think that's what's really unique about your job is, in a sense, aside from the preacher and all the people that make that happen, your job is like the last domino in the food chain that makes that happen.
Yeah. I don't preach to them. I don't counsel with them or anything. And 99% of the people that hear the message have no clue I exist. But it's still really cool to be a part of that. That it's really cool that God's allowed me to be in that team of people.
I guess a modern analogy, and I don't know, easily breaks through, but how prophets and messengers, granted, most of the time it's a message of death, but I mean, I'm not going to follow that train of thought. You get what I'm saying. Or no. Abraham needs a wife for Isaac, sends the servant, Okay, this sounded better in my head. Oh, my word. Okay, one memory from teen camp that combines our jobs that I just love the memory was not the creative director for the camp, but she was over the music.
Yeah.
And before the summer started, she sat me down and said, "Hey, what you got going on for the next week?" And I said, I'm just, I don't know.
I think you were like going through
training videos.
Yeah.
Educational videos. And she said, "Well, listen, I need epic music.
Yeah.
Can you just make something epic?" And I was like, "How epic we talking?" Like, whose standard are we going by here? And she said, just make something epic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Can I?" "Yes, CJ, just go and do the thing."
Yeah.
And I spent a week and I made this like really epic track.
And the crowd loved it.
Oh my word. And I remember taking the track with you
Yeah.
and going to the DHA and playing it. And it was just the coolest thing.
Because they had lights timed with it and everything.
Oh, like smoke. And
Yeah.
that was satisfying. And it was a level of creative liberty that I enjoyed it so much. That's one of the highlights that I felt.
Yeah.
What was a moment where you were doing live sound and you thought to yourself, man, this is awesome?
Gala. Definitely. It was amazing.
It was intense.
Beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, it was really busy for David and I, at least. Right.
True. Rehearsals and figuring it all out.
Yeah. And there was a point in the show, of course, we were going the whole time.
Yeah.
There was a point in the show where like it just hit me like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
Like really cool to be a part of. And so for about 2 seconds, I just took my hands off the board and just enjoyed it, just to take in the moment. And then I kept going.
Yeah.
Gala is definitely a highlight of my career. Yeah.
And it's awesome when you're a part of a team that can pull off something that big too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
'Cause
stage crew making that set.
Oh yeah. Stage
Beautiful.
crew. And there's just something about,
and of course, lights getting underneath the set with her light strips and everything.
Oh yeah. And it's not just the back end people that put the work into the set and the lights and the audio.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all of it means nothing unless you get good people on stage.
Oh yeah.
Right?
The singers and instrumentalists were incredible.
And you know what's so awesome about that, and really the privilege of our jobs, is we both get to work with amazing musicians.
Yeah.
Because what I love about audio and just what our jobs do is we almost don't have to be good at music to get the gratification of being with amazing musicians.
Yeah. I can't read music. I can't. I can sit there and figure out the individual notes, but I can't read music.
I feel like I knew that. Sorry. I looked at you like I was offended. Oh my word, that's so funny.
And I get the whole up and down part and like the rest and stuff.
Oh man.
But like to sit down and play a piano, I could. It'd just take a really, really long time.
And it's funny because you were in a choir concert too.
I was, yeah.
Yeah. Which was really good, by the way.
Thank you.
I still remember that. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you get an instrumentalist in the studio, and sometimes it's good for me to be behind the mic. In fact, I was behind the mic today.
Really?
Believe it or not, my supervisor was behind the glass. He did record for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was super fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. And whenever I'm behind the mic, I try to always be learning and have a healthy respect for the pressure.
Oh, yeah.
Or almost put a pressure on myself because I want to know what it feels like from the perspective of people I put behind the glass. Mm-hmm. And for all the people that get behind the glass, and in my mind, I'm thinking, man, they're just not flexible. They're not getting it.
Yeah.
They're just, not that I think that for that many people. If I recorded you.
You individually were perfect.
He's
not talking about you.
Oh my word. I should stop that train of thought. Whatever I might workshop with people, I keep in mind for myself. So when I'm behind the mic, I ask myself, how flexible am I?
Yeah.
How well do I take people that are workshopping with me?
Or how can I communicate to them better?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And I think that's one of the privileges of working with a lot of musicians and helping them, because I'm able to, in a sense, critique so many people that it gets burned into me how to take something from good to better to best. And what's so amazing working with amazing vocalists or dialogue is to get someone behind the mic, especially for dialogue, and they don't know what they're doing, or they're just flat, monotone, whatever. Yeah. And it's amazing over the course of a half hour how you can break someone out of their shell. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I love to do is I said, okay, here's the thing. We're going to get some takes purposefully that are not usable. Yeah. Wherever the boundaries are, let's just break them for fun. Yeah. Say things that will not work to break you out of your shell. And I'll be like, okay, take 6 steps away from the mic and you're going to shout the lines.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're going to take a step closer to the mic and then you're going to say the lines like, you're too happy, you know? And then you bring them back to, okay, now go back to like you're saying it, but keep the momentum that you have. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We go through it. Okay. That was great. Now think of it more like this. You have this train of thought, arc it just a little bit more, quick, let's go. And there's a momentum to it that's just so beautiful. So that, then when I have 10 takes that I'm going through and I'm comping it, there's just so many cool things. And where am I going with all that?
I don't know, but something that like just came to mind.
Yeah.
What a really cool feature about our jobs, especially yours.
Yeah.
Is you're dealing with a lot of musicians and singers and people who have to put hard work into their craft.
Yeah.
As a huge majority, these people are hardworking, are diligent,
Absolutely,
are detail oriented to stay on pitch.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely,
Motivated.
Yeah,
which affects you.
Yeah,
just being around them.
It's true. You know, I hadn't thought about that much. Yeah. Every single person, the amount of work that it took to get to where they were, I think we lose sight of. And it's interesting, when you're around so many musicians, you forget the fact that, wow, who in here did not start an instrument before the age of 6?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh yeah, I just take for granted you're amazing at violin, and I'm not thinking about, oh, I started when I was a really small kid, and just the hours and hours and hours of practice.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's amazing about our jobs is our jobs are like a platform where musicians can really shine and where their voice can be heard because, and someone else pointed this out to me. It's like without our jobs, musicians aren't nearly as capable to reaching the public.
Yeah.
You know, every musician, I'm generalizing. Ideally, if you want to be a performing musician, at some point you I guess want to get on stage, and if that is the case, you're going to deal with the sound system, and hopefully someone knows how to use it. Mm-hmm. Interesting story, actually. This was yesterday. Mike Herbster. Do you know Mike Herbster? Mm-hmm. Okay. His brother Matt works at the Wilds.
I think you mentioned this to me off air. Yeah.
It's totally fine. Anyways, he runs a kids camp.
Yeah.
And there's also a guy who has a mobile studio.
Yeah.
That's involved with the ministry. And did I tell you about this?
Yeah.
Cool. Wow. Yeah. I forgot I did.
You didn't do it on the podcast though, so go ahead.
Sure. For everyone
I've never heard this before.
Oh my word. So he's like, yeah, we have a mobile setup. And I'm wondering what you think about it and just any ideas. Like, I just want to be more in contact with you, etc. And one of the things I said to him was, I said, oh, like, do the kids know that you guys have a usable studio? And he said, well, actually, no, they don't. And I said, okay, here's the thing. The only reason I have my job is because at some point a guy said, hey, do you want to come see my studio? And I just walked in. And he was like, yeah, super simple, not simple, but easy if you work at it. And it's super accessible. And if you wanted to do this, you totally could.
Yeah.
There's free versions of softwares. There's cheap versions. Just experiment.
Yeah.
And that got me started on my entire journey that's led me here today. And so I said, you know, for the kids, even just them knowing you have a studio, hey, do you want to see it for 10 minutes? Something that we've done with the class before is I just lay down Amazing Grace on the piano, get 10 people behind the mic, have them sing it, maybe a soloist jumps out, and then I bring them back around to my side of the glass and I say, hey, watch me mix you guys in 10 minutes.
Yeah, which to you is very rudimentary, but...
It's rudimentary. I'm doing really basic things.
Yeah.
Exactly. And...
opens up a whole new world.
Yeah, and my point to him was, if you can just do something similar or just show it to kids pick up on things so fast.
Yeah.
And if you can convince a kid that something is easy, they'll do worlds with it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel like only when we're adults do we look at complicated things and instantly label it as complicated.
Yeah.
versus a kid just thinks, oh, well, that's cool. Or like, well, you know, for you in the 8th grade, you just saw it. You're like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to learn it. And, but my point behind relaying that was exactly that thing I said about the kids is a lot of music majors, I think, really want to learn, how do I record myself? How do I get into this vein? How do I learn this world? And really, the earlier you can pick up on it, the better. And everyone starts out at their own place, and like that's totally fine. But once you dip your toe in and just experiment here and there and click everything, it just opens up so many possibilities. And here's something else that people don't consider. Not only does it enable you as a musician, but it also enables more collaboration. It enables more understanding between musicians of like, the more people know about it, the more they can help each other. I mean, sometimes we look at crafts, even with live sound and we start to label it as like a solo endeavor. When in reality, they're entire communities. I mean, even live sound, there's entire communities, even online, Instagram, YouTube, etc. And they're just, I don't know, they're very inviting, and you realize that the professionals, I mean, we are professionals, but you know, the guys that travels with big bands and that run even stadiums or whatever, I mean, they all have a mixing board. We use mixing boards. Like, you see tips online and you start to realize, wow, they did something really basic and they just have the same knobs that I have.
They all have the struggle of getting volume before feedback. Every single one of them.
Yeah. I think that's what I appreciate about our jobs is it puts our foot into a world that's so much bigger than us, and you can never stop learning. Yeah. What's just as we wrap up this episode, what's something that you're thankful for specifically about your craft? Maybe some of it's redundant, but something you're thankful for about your craft, looking backwards, and something you're thankful for looking forwards in terms of your craft.
Part of live sound is working with people, whether that's the musicians singing live, or playing live, to actors and actresses for plays.
That's right.
Get to help them for putting on their mics for big plays. They're really cool people, crazy, but really fun.
Speech people are fun.
Oh yeah,
I just had Coda. Monday. I can attest. Love it. Just love it.
Yeah. So looking back, that's always been like one of my favorite parts of my job is getting to interact with them.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. Looking forward, had a nice voice crack right there. It's okay. It's really cool that if we can get like a little theological on here, to be able to serve my God doing something that I love. Because he doesn't need me. But for him to allow me to learn something that I really enjoy doing and use it pretty much directly for him, humbling, and like it challenges me to learn and to get better at it. But it's really an honor to be able to do that, to have a part of that.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the devotional text I sent out this morning, where when Egypt was in a famine, the Pharaoh said, go talk to Joseph and he'll tell you what to do.
Yeah.
And God put Joseph in that position, and Pharaoh put Joseph in that position. Because they knew Joseph was going to live up to it. Yeah. It's so humbling. And I mean, you know, you talk about interacting with amazing people. I mean, number one, I completely agree, but also you just get to interact with you. And it's really awesome just with audio. Any one of us could be in a conversation with audio stuff with other people, but like when we get talking, like we know.
We get each other.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, I have this specific effect and it does this, and it does this. And yeah, we do serve an awesome God.
Yeah.
Hey, Malachi, No! Oh!
Re-record.
No! Michael, forgive me.
Christopher.
I'll take it.
See you on the next one, maybe.
Maybe. See you guys.